My name is Dr. Glenn Wehner, and we live in Kirksville, Missouri. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, grew up in a rural community in southwest Pennsylvania. My wife's from Youngstown, Ohio, northwest corner. We met at Ohio State when we were both undergrads. We have 4 children. We have nine grandchildren total between the 4 kids, so they keep us busy.
Dr. Glenn Wehner, one of the earliest AGA members, was an agricultural science professor at Truman State University in Kirksville, Missouri. While there, he introduced hundreds of students to the Gelbvieh breed. He has a PhD in animal nutrition and developed the first Gelbvieh herd maintained by Truman State University.
The way we got started, or the way I got started, I guess, in Gelbvieh was when I was in graduate school at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. We'd gone to an animal science meeting, and my advisor at the time, Dr. Bill Holloway, had introduced me to Larry Cundiff from the Meat Animal Research Center. The research group we were with at Tennessee primarily was looking at environment and genotype interactions. And so the germplasm study they were doing obviously was kind of a parallel study to the things we were doing. And so we got to visiting, and I had looked at some of the reports, the early reports, and I quite frankly just had asked Larry, are these Gelbvieh cattle as good in the pasture as they are on paper? And his comment to me was, he said, they're the best combination of maternal and paternal traits that we've tested to date. A local gentleman, Earl Rogers, who actually was the uncle of Ronnie Rogers, who had nominated me, had Gelbviehs here in town. And so we went up to Iowa to a field day, and I met Jim Spahn, and he gave me some information. And so I kind of decided at that point that as fast as I could get into them, I was going to do that. I had some startup money from the university and some research grants, and so we started buying cattle here in the state of Missouri from the breeders here in the state to try to support them. Had a few donated, and that was the beginning of it. Our first calves born there actually was in 1986, and that was the same year that I joined the association myself. And then shortly after that, I started buying my own cows. And we were primarily red purebreds at the time at the university. And I wanted to stay purebred because purebred operation obviously is different than commercial, but you can teach all the commercial aspects with a purebred herd. So it seemed like a good fit for the university. But when I put in my own herd, I kind of decided I would go with full bloods, and that's where we are to date.
Dr. Wehner has seen many positive changes in the breed over the years and has been influential in reducing mature cow size in Gelbvieh cattle.
The changes, I think, have been absolutely positive, without a doubt. And you've heard it before from so many, that the people have been just outstanding. And I think they embrace the change that comes about. Quite frankly, again, as I was collecting information at Animal Science, I was at a feedlot, and that was feeding Gelbvieh cattle. And again, this is back in the mid to early '80s. And I asked him, I said, what do you think about Gelbviehs? And he said, real frankly, he said, your reds are better than the blacks, and your horns are better than the poles from the performance. And we know today, that that's not true. So yeah, we've made a lot of positive changes. We've reduced the mature size. We've stayed on top with, the mothering ability stuff, the early fertility, pounds of calf wean per cow exposed, longevity, those kind of things, milk production, those deals that definitely impact on the bottom line of an operation. We've improved that. Calving has gone up, birth weights have gone down. We've seen an increase in weaning weights and yearling weights. With a little emphasis back when Susan Willman was with us on marbling score, we've corrected that very quickly. What else can you say but positive on that? I think we're definitely headed in the right direction.
Along with his wealth of knowledge of the Gelbvieh breed, Dr. Wehner has been involved in many ways with the AGA and the American Gelbvieh Foundation over the years. He has been a big promoter of the full-blood Gelbvieh herd book, served on numerous committees, and currently serves on the American Gelbvieh Foundation Board of Directors as treasurer. With his involvement in the AGF Executive Committee, he has played an instrumental role in developing the AGA's 50-year history book.
I was asked to serve on the initial foundation board, and I accepted. I thought maybe it was a way then to kind of give back to the association and to the membership. And as we were developing that, Jim Beestrom actually should be accredited for this. He kind of mentioned that some of our founding fathers in the United States were getting up in age. And so, we were thinking we ought to put a history together. We had some money, startup money, that was left over from the genomics project. So as we discussed this, we decided we would try to get that together. So Jim Thomas was working on part of that and collecting some information. And so we kind of batted around as to what we want to do and how we want to do it for a few years. And just recently here, about a year and a half ago, we decided we just need to kick it in gear and be ready for the 50th. And so the small committee, Mark Goes, Nancy Wilkinson, myself, and Al Knapp met in Denver for a weekend, and we invited Diane Kaufman, used to be our office manager, and we had big sheets of paper hanging all over the office, and had some contact with Therese Lambert, and she had agreed to write it, so we turned over all those sheets to her, which was a benefit. She started to write it. She would write a chapter or so and mail it out to me, and I would kind of edit that chapter and throw it back to Therese, and she'd send it to the rest of them. I think it's something that everybody's going to want to handle on, but I think it's one of those things that it gives us a history of the breed in Germany and all the way up to our present time.
Dr. Wehner continues to be an avid proponent of Gelbvieh cattle today and still teaches a few classes at Truman State University. The endeavors and contributions of Dr. Wehner have not only improved the breed, but contributed to the association as a whole.
I am profoundly humbled by this nomination and selection. I never, in my wildest imagination, thought that anything that I had done would ever warrant this. The first thing that flashed through my mind is I looked at all the people that stood in that line ahead of me with this honor, and thought about their contributions. It's just surreal to be included in that line. I would like to thank Ronnie for his kind nomination, and for the selection committee and the membership in general for allowing me to contribute to the cause.